This lecturer in my school, anytime people take his course, about half of the class is going to fail. At the end of the day, these people are very intelligent. So why are they failing?
It's just narcissism. If not that you are the devil, why are you saying that A is for me and B for God?
I want you students to take it as a challenge. I passed through my undergraduate days without any issue. You are telling me that I cannot pass I will score minimum of 70. So you can't go to the moon to set your question.
No senior lecturer will glory in math failure.
I've heard of a friend who was maybe trailed by a lecturer, and the lecturer was like, unless you give in to me, you won't pass. She ended up failing the whole semester.
We can conclude that generally there is sex for grade. Students in decent dressing, that's a contributing factor. The lecturers asking for such are to be held culprits.
I'm so sorry to say, it's given when a lady is raped and you're asking what is she wearing. That is what I count what you just mentioned now.
Let's call it what it is. It's rape. You are putting a gun to the lady's head because you have the gun. These are rapists masquerading as lecturers.
Here are the prompts we'll be discussing on today's episode. Please signify if you agree with the prompt. A student's grade is a key determining factor to their success in life.
Well, I believe a student's grade have impact on their success rate in life because the effort they put in to get in the grade tend to have influence on their perspective towards issue of life. As an undergraduate, before my exam, I usually set my goals. That's what prompted me to be here today because I just made up my mind that excelling in the academic, it is what I want to impact to other generation coming after me.
Can the disagreeers now speak?
So I feel like that's inaccurate because there are some courses we take in school right now that are useless, basically. For example, GNS. I don't have anything to do with GNS. So do you mean if I fail that course, then it determines who I'm going to be in future? Most of us, there are so many undergraduates in Nigeria right now who went to school, graduated with first-class degree, and they're making it not in the line of the education departed. But that does not mean they didn't get good grades or anything. There are so many people, lawyers, working as conductors. Does that mean they didn't put in efforts to get to where they are? So I disagree that your grades determine your success. My name is Aliyah Egbafolong. I'm a student at University of Lagos studying guidance and counseling. I don't do anything except being a student. But if there's a job opening at Cruise, please employ me. Most people cram to pass, not understand to pass. So does that grade determine that you are going to be the most successful? There are third-class graduates employing first-class graduates. Does that mean the first-class graduate didn't know what he was doing, or perhaps he failed some courses? I feel it was inaccurate to say your grades is the key determinant to your success.
I took a course, electric machines, in 300 level first semester. The course was like my best for the semester because I read it very well. I was trying to understand the course and not just pass the exam. And when the results came, I got a D because the lecturer believes if you don't give him exactly what is in the notes, exactly what he gives you in class, that means you don't know it. That does not mean I'm not going to make it in life. It just means I did not pass that course. I still have that determination.
I agree with most of what you said. Your grade just basically means that you were able to fulfill the lecturer's requirement. A lot of people are studying to pass. Majority of the time, when students go into the exam hall, they are cramming. It's just basically them consuming as much material as they can and then pouring it out on the day of the exam. It depends more or less on how you've been able to understand the practice of what you're studying, how you can apply it in real life.
Classroom knowledge is different from street knowledge. A lot of factors are associated with how you get your grade in school. Access to resources, proximity to class and school, and other factors that determines their efficiency. Take those factors away, a brilliant student might not perform very well. But put that student in a situation where he can express his potentials. You see that student excelling in life. You know, that's why a third class student in class may employ a first class in life because the third class have what it takes.
The classroom is a test tube. What happens in the test tube is different from what happens in real life. To succeed, one of the key factors is not your grade, but more of your adaptability. Can you show that you can rise above challenges that are now confronting you? A lot of us who did well in school, we did well, but it does not translate directly to real life success. Part of this question also speaks to Nigeria's educational system. Are we training citizens to solve problems, or we are programming them through rote learning to come and solve what we conceived would be the problems? Unfortunately, the problems of tomorrow will be different from what we are tackling today.
I would just like to emphasize that it helps to shape your orientation to life. Like she mentioned GNS. When I did it, I failed the first time. I took the course again. I overcame. And here I am. It helped to change my perspective on how to overcome others. Okay, maybe let me remove the success. It will shape your orientation to achieving goals. When I graduated, I topped my class. I did not get a job. People with tutu were having jobs in reputable institutions. But that mindset of achieving my targets, I made up my mind I'm not going to teach in a secondary school. It took me 13 years, but I waited because I have a goal. So we can link that to a mark. After 13 years, I got my dream job. Here I am.
I think we should change it to say is a contributor to success or failure, rather than it's the thing that determines whether you will fail or whether. I am Chido Nwakama. I'm a journalist, an editor at large at Business Day newspaper. I am a training coordinator at Front Foot Media Initiative. I taught at Pan Atlantic University. I still teach as an adjunct. Many people have had poor grades. Some realize themselves. They call them late starters. They pick up later and realize, okay, I wasted a lot of time in the past. They make up for it by bringing so much passion, purpose, and performance to their job.
Actually, I now change my stand to say that is a key factor, being that it will help you to look at life in a different perspective.
Please signify if you agree with the prompt. Grades are a reflection of the lecturer's teaching skills, not the student's effort.
I believe the lecturer teaching scheme has a real impact in students' performance because we have a situation where teaching pattern is simplified. Every student should be able to pick it up. If the student doesn't pass, then we should look at the student's intelligent ability to grasp attention and interest. So if all this is in place, the lecturer teaching scheme will reflect on the grade of the student. If you look at some online courses, the basic teaching have been broken down. Many people pass it because it's been simplified. If you do an online course and you don't pass, you yourself, you know that probably at some time when you're reading, you're not paying attention.
Can the disagreeers now speak?
I disagree because the statement is too generalized, is too absolute. Grades are a function of both the ability of the lecturer and the efforts of students. During review, when you meet as a faculty board and you are reviewing results, that's where you see there are people who will score A across board, B across board. Why are they getting good results despite the differences in lecturers? That's because they are applying themselves. No matter the lecturer, they will do well. We used to have those days lecturers who boasted in their ability to keep an A to themselves. We are all now realizing that what it meant was that this fellow wasn't teaching well. Here in Nigeria, we used to wonder how people will live here, go to America, and be getting good results. Ability to teach well at that end, but also the determination of the student. Having spent all that effort, family resources to go there, you want to do well.
I feel like in a university setting, that prompt doesn't really apply because there are over 10,000 students. For a course I'm taking, we're over 5,000 students split in 2 different classes. The lecturer is not going to be able to cover every student. It's your determination that I don't want to fail this course. I want to pass. You meet with people who have knowledge. There are tutorials set up by different people. They are learning from each other. So if you go to them, I don't understand this. Can you simplify for me? pride comes before a downfall. You have to take down that pride first. Sometimes it's not about the lecturer, it's about yourself, your determination. You might not be in the correct head space during that moment when the lecturer is teaching you. But when you go back to the course or when you go back to the topic, you find that you understand. It's a combination of both. If the lecturer explains well, you grasp. But sometimes it's not always about the lecturer, it's about yourself, your head space at that moment, and your ability to go back to your notes and revise on your own.
I would say it's also more of the student effort. It's a combination of both, but it's more of the student efforts because there have been courses where the lecturers have been, I don't want to use the word nonchalant, but they come and they don't exactly take the course well, probably because they themselves don't understand the courses. But you see students still having A's in the courses, mostly because of how the students prepare for the exams, not because of how the lecturer taught. And there have been courses where the lecturer probably had a good teaching skill, and some students still feel, in my school, lectures take place for a particular course just once a week. So it's not about what that particular lecturer does that time in the week. It's about how the student goes back to understand the course and the effort the students put.
Apart from just the lecturer's inputs, apart from your inputs, there are other things that could play a part. There was a course that I took. There was a test that they did, and the test was supposed to be online. And for you to do that test online, so you have to have registered that course. For you to have registered that course, you have to have paid your school fees. And I didn't pay my school fees on time, so I couldn't take that test. In that kind of situation, now you can imagine that it's the system now is at fault rather than just the lecturer or the students per se. You could have like personal troubles that you're going through that would affect how you're able to cope and study and like pass through the system.
I would like to add that more effort needs to come from the students. The reason being that the lecturer will have come to the class. The duty is to go back the same day, maximum the second day, go over your notes again. That's the way I used to do as an undergraduate. And I will not wait until exam is 1 week because peradventure you might fall sick and you're unable to read.
When I explained the other time, I mentioned the concentration, I talked about interests. If all these things are put in place and you have a wonderful lecture delivered, I don't think there's anything can stop you from passing the course. She's talking about 1,000 students. That's not an ideal situation. That's why they didn't make a station outside the country. But they can't make it here because they couldn't concentrate. A lot of interests are there. They want to make money. Some of them fund themselves. While they're in class, they are thinking about they want to go and do a delivery or they want to do this, and they're not paying attention. And the lecturer is doing the best he can. So take all that away. The student will perform with a good teaching skill. That's my own position.
The lecturer today must compensate for the attention deficits of students. What do I mean? Students are massively distracted. In my courses, I go out of my way to provide very detailed presentations. Each course I take will probably have an average of 60 slides. And some students came to me, your slides are too much. I say, yes, because I'm trying to assist you. Those books that I've put there as references that you should go and read. Have you gone to check any one of them in the library? Okay, no, sir. Exactly. So I go and read it on your behalf, summarize it, and put it here so you can understand it. So you must make that effort for your students. If you do not, they are most likely to just pick the surface without grabbing the depth of the matter.
Sex for grades exists mostly because of lazy students. Since no one agrees, can all the disagreeers now speak?
I feel it's mostly from the lecturers, and it's not because students go to push themselves, so the lecturers are going to be enticed. I've had a situation where we're up to 1,000 students in the class. There were 3 lecturers taking the course, 2 were just at the back, then someone was in front taking the course. One of the lecturers at the back just came to me and he told me, see me in my office after this class. Mind you, I don't exactly know the lecturer and I don't know why I should be seeing him in his office. So in that situation, you cannot say I was the one that was pushing for the whole agenda.
I've heard of a friend who was maybe trailed by a lecturer. She ended up failing the whole semester, departmental courses, because he's a departmental lecturer. He always pushed for her to come see him in his office and she always refused. She was not the top of her class per se, but she was above average student. So imagine seeing your grades one day and you happen to fail everything, which is not supposed to be because you are a very bright student. And the lecturer was like, unless you give in to me, you won't pass. She's withdrawn from the school actually now because she said she couldn't cope with the pressure. Anytime she passes through, is either one of the minions of the lecturer or the lecturer himself saying, okay, you want to pass, Abi. The lecturers do that mostly because they feel like these people have no other option. If they want to succeed in school, they have to come and do what we want. Is either you leave or you give in, which is a win-win for them.
I deliberately kept quiet so that the young ladies can speak. They are the ones facing the reality of the situation on ground. Maybe I should allow Dr. add the female contribution again before I add my voice.
I would like to say that we can conclude that generally there is sex for grade. There are students that enter the university and they scale through without any orders. I will like to come from the angle of students in decent dressing. That's a contributing factor. But most times, the lecturers asking for such are to be held corporate. I passed through my undergraduate days without any issue. MSc without any issue. PhD without any issue. There are times that students will come to my class, I will ask her to leave. Even as a female, it's initiating. I can see your breasts, I can see your backside. I won't embarrass you in front of the class. I will just touch those parts. Some people will still come and prostrate for this thing. Why is it on sales? I'm Olubumi Akinsanya. I lecture at Bells University of Technology, Ota. I specialize in the field of nutrition, majorly childhood nutrition. Students cannot be totally blamed, but they need to look at their dress sense. When you are going for a job interview, there's a dress code. You won't go to the interview and you dress half naked. Even though these lecturers has another intent, seeing you will have seen that you are not in that category because the way you are dressed is the way you will be addressed. Because
you didn't experience this. I haven't experienced it too, and I don't pray to experience such. Doesn't mean it doesn't exist. I'm so sorry to say. It's given when a lady is raped and you're asking what is she wearing. That is what I count what you just mentioned now. I can be as decent as I can and people will still call you. It is not by what you wear that attracts people most times. It is by what they see. Some people might even go far as undress you in their heads. No matter how dressed you are, even though you are an LA, a Nikobi, some people will still undress you in their own heads. And just because I didn't experience it doesn't mean I will invalidate that it didn't happen. It happened because she's someone close to me. But we can't generalize that. I can't generalize, sex, but I'm saying like for the 1% of people that have to go through that, it is unfair. I don't really agree with it, but to an extent I do, because the rate at which some ladies dress, it's not, I feel like it's because of our society. If we're in the Western countries, we wouldn't count it as anything, but because of how we're wired from how we're young, those dresses are inappropriate and indecent. This stuff is not allowed in my school. You can't wear ripped jeans. You can't even have 2 piercings in my school. That still does not solve the case of sex for grades.
Sex for grades is very ugly. It happens, but we seem to have blown it out of proportion. I have taught and I did not ask, I did not receive. No student ever approached me, maybe because our school had strict rules. Why I disagree? The onus lies on the man, on the lecturer. The lecturer is the adult in this mix. The lecturer should know better. The lecturer stands as the parent. That's why I am totally in support of every measure taken against lecturers caught in this offense. It's not okay at all. It shouldn't happen. The scenario is very simple. As lecturers, you stand in loco parentis. That Latin expression means you stand like their parents. It's not 2 adults doing things. There's an adult and there is an infant. It cannot change. Resist the temptation if it comes and warn the student not to do it again. I have had occasions where some students will say, are you going my way? Can I join you in the... And you know this thing, where it's heading is not exactly a question of dropping. It's more to do with other things. You cut it off. Sorry, young woman, I don't think I'm going your way. By the time you do it 2-3 times, that conversation will not arise at all.
Our society has been sexualized. If you look at commercials, you see billboards with half-naked ladies, see music, you see ladies dressing. Because I want to ride on what you said about ladies in decent dressing contribute some of these factors. If one had to approach this, you will see probably they are gaslighting university. But you see, sex has been happening in sectors. For instance, in the movie industry, there are sex for roles, sex for appointments, sex for employment, sex for promotions, everywhere. All these things happen because there are human beings involved in some of these things, and the society has programmed everybody in bad way. And we can't control the society, we just have to control ourselves. Some parents even encourage their children to dress indecently, and they tell you that you have to look away. So it's about individual trying to know when to say yes, trying to know when to say no. As a matter of fact, sex for grade is not good, it's not supported by anyone. The bulk of the blame is in the society. It's both ways. I can't blame students, I can't blame lecturers. We all have individual ability to withstand sexual pressure. The composition of men, they are moved by what they see. This can disorientate some people. So how do you think some people say that you should be using hijab? It's because some people cannot behold a woman's articulate body in court. When some people see that, they lose guard. Don't you see sometimes when a woman does touch a man's shoulder, the man just say, what do you want? I'll give you anything. Because the man's total sensory organs are out of control at that moment. So you can't judge that kind of man with another man that no matter what, even you remove your clothes, you just say, are you done? Get out of my office. Also students, you can't totally blame some students. Some were brought up in a way that indecent dressing is the order of the day. Even their parents dress indecently. How will you tell such students that you are dressing indecently? So I can't blame the student, I can't blame the lecturer, I blame the society.
I have nothing to say really about this matter. I don't have any particular experience with sex for grades. The major idea I have concerning sex for grades is what I've seen in Nollywood and what I've heard from that popular documentary about sex for grades in some universities in West Africa. My name is Samuel Achilike. I'm currently a year 3 student of electrical and electronics engineering at the University of Lagos. I'm a social media manager / content creator. I don't want to be insensitive to say that it probably doesn't happen because they literally released a documentary about certain lecturers harassed female students. I'm a guy, so who's going to ask me for sex for my grades? It's something that I haven't experienced. My female friends, they've never really told me about being harassed. I mean, I've seen some lecturers treat some female students funny, but then I can't really pin it and say, nah, sex for grades now.
The society needs to be blamed. If everyone was taught consent, I feel like we should maybe not drop the ball on sexual education, but we should start focusing more on consent education. My no means no, and my yes means yes. That is what we as a society should start with. And there should be, sanctions on what you said about the media and mass media. There should be sanctions. The government can do that. We see countries like South Korea. You don't see them dressed inappropriately everywhere. You can do what you want, but to a limit.
Yeah, consent education is important. In this situation, let's call it what it is. It's rape. You are putting a gun to the lady's head because you have the gun. It's pure rape. That's what it is. We should call it its name and face it. These are rapists masquerading as lecturers. And we should evict them from the system. There was one I was reading the other day. They actually promoted a lecturer who has been indicted for such cases, rape. What message are you sending to the rest of the community? That your school tolerates it? No. You can't say, like our forebear did, it was the woman that you gave me that... No, we should stop those blame games. Don't blame the victim. When you mention the students, that's blaming the victim. The adult in the room should act as an adult.
There was a senior colleague, a male, that gave his own experience of a female student coming to his office in the evening, and she has dressed in such a way that she just opened
to seduce him.
So most times it's not just the lecturers.
Ultimately it's for him to decide whether he will take it.
If forced his hand to give her mark because she said she will shout, he had to protect his image. He asked her to leave.
Such wouldn't have happened. If you know that the lecturer can just make a phone call and say, this student did this. There are security cameras for a reason. This student did this. Present your evidence.
How many offices has CCTV
that is
camera?
Why it should be a prerequisite for every office. A standard office should have a CCTV camera. Anything can go wrong at any time. I'm not generalizing, but if there were sanctions for students, any student who tries this will be sanctioned, rusticated, or suspended. Most of them wouldn't try such.
I'm telling you that there are situations that the students are not the victim, the lecturers.
That's why laws exist for a
Very,
reason.
very few instances.
You can't put a blame on a lecturer or on a student. Each case should be treated with the merit of how it happened.
Both the students and the lecturers will take responsibility. As an adult, will you do that to your daughter or your son? And as a student, how will you feel if it is your father that you are approaching for such an act?
What some institutions have done is to have open plan offices for lecturers. That kind of situation you described cannot happen. You can't come in where there are other lecturers sitting there and you are offering yourself to.
But that situation cannot be conducive for lecturers.
Open plan is standard now across professions. You have your desk, you have the things. What else do you need? You have your space.
There can be partition in between, but not totally closed.
Not totally closed.
Everybody has always talked about the lady, indecent dressing and everything. Nobody's talking to the lecturers. Nobody's telling them when this happens, you should be able to remove yourself from this situation. You should be able to ignore. Because there are some students, no matter the rules, they'll still dress indecently. But when it happens, the lecturer is going to be blamed, not the students, because now it's going to seem like rape, like you said. So for you to remove yourself from that situation is what everybody should be talking about.
So if there is a law, a stipulated law that if this happens, this is what to do, it will reduce drastically because no one wants to get caught like wasting all your money and making a mockery of your family name. Most people won't want that.
Using AI for assignments and projects is equivalent to cheating.
I'm also in the field of people using ChatGPT and AI because it is not something of my intellect. I copied it basically, but sometimes I try to tweak it to add my own personal touch, but most people don't. And there's just some words that you see that are bigger than my knowledge, and I'll be like, no, this is not something I would have written personally. So I feel like most lecturers can grade our intelligence themselves, like, this is what my student is capable of putting into words. So when you use those words, how is it not equivalent to cheating? You can use it as a framework, as a guide or reference, but copying it word for word, it is basically cheating.
Using AI only is tantamount to cheating. How will my students submit chapter 1 to 3 using AI? And you try to go online to check the citation and it's nowhere in the world to be found. It's the same thing as cheating.
Can the disagreeers now speak?
I see AI as just a tool. There are textbooks, there are websites, there are other tools I'm using. So artificial intelligence is just one of those tools. I'm using ChatGPT to fine-tune my work. It's not to exactly give me the answer. It's not cheating.
You see, the AI thing has been in existence for some time ago, a long time. Just recently that it has been decentralized. I find it difficult for me to agree because I've been using AI for a lot of things, like Grammarly, to help me to shaping my English language, even designing, architect, it guides you. Even Microsoft Word that everybody uses is AI. So if I say because I use AI, I use Microsoft Word, I'm cheating. I would be speaking against my own integrity. But from what she said, if you take AI output verbatim, could be termed as cheating. But using AI is not cheating. It can even give you rubbish, but it gives you a guide, it gives you a template, then you build on it. My name is Bamidele Tolulokpe Udumosu. I'm a lecturer at the University of Lagos. Specialty, I'm a pharmaceutical microbiologist. So basically, I teach microbiology-related courses. I use AI. There's no way you can say AI should not be used unless you are deceiving yourself. The only thing I'm against is you using AI to cheat the system. You can use AI as a tool to assist your learning process.
It saves you time. Yesterday, I used ChatGPT to do an assignment. I didn't copy it verbatim like she said. I used ChatGPT to understand what exactly the question was trying to ask, to address how I was going to now solve the assignment. I don't feel there's anything wrong, so long as you know how, like you just use it as a guide.
The debate is on. I would say for academic purposes, each institution should devise rules. I am positive about AI. She mentioned citation. Those things do not give you citations, and you cannot do academic work without citations.
We are talking about technological advancement. It has its positive sides and negative sides. Let me take you back to photography. Years back, they used Polaroid. When you get to a point, they used film. You can't take a photograph without learning how to adjust your focus manually. You have to adjust the focal length, then you snap it. Then with advancement, photography becomes automation. Once you put it, the lens adjusts itself. Adjustment by the lens deprives you of knowing how to do a manual adjustment. So automation, it deprives you of acquisition of skills. Going back to AI, are we going to say make students lazy? Yes, but no. In the sense of yes, it's because of the student will be deprived of having ability to do intensive search. But this is the era of advancements in technology. You have to go with the flow. If you don't change with the world, you'll be left behind. People should learn how to apply these tools effectively.
I would like to support what they have said. It's a tool that we have to use along with other things that we've been doing before. We should not solely depend on it.
So this takes me back to our earlier prompt about grades being a determinant for success. When you have AI, why are you scared about your grades? I feel like it is a cheat code to get better grades. Because in my school, I don't know about other schools, your assignment also contributes to your grades. So when you use it for your assignments, where you're basically downloading everything for your assignment, your lecturer says, okay, this is correct, marks it. And AI doesn't give everybody a generalized answer. How will your lecturer go back to this and basically check if it's AI?
If you're not going with the technology, people will outsmart you. You can't give me an AI product and I will not know. Now Turnitin itself has AI detector.
You know,
let you know
AI
there's a percentage of AI inputs. So if you have 100%, I flag it.
Okay, but there are humanizing features on AI right now.
If you have a program, there's always a back end to that program for you to know that this is how to uncover this program.
Lecturers hoard grades intentionally for bragging rights or to establish power.
While that might not be true for all lecturers, but I had this lecturer who was always reassuring us that we won't pass the course because his marking scheme is very different. You can't get A's in my course, you can't get 5 in my course. And everyone was scared of him. So we were like literally doing eye service because everyone wants to pass. We didn't like the man. I still don't like the man. I feel like that's just to exert dominance on us because we don't have the power, we don't have superiority over him.
So I was taking this exam one day, and the invigilator was like, see, everybody's collecting extra sheets. That means your course is too simple. Probably they just have this, wow, if people fail, that means you are wicked, you have that stance. There's also this other lecturer in my school, and anytime people take his course, about half of the class is going to fail. At the end of the day, these people are very intelligent. So why are they failing? They do it on purpose.
I feel like
why
they
they're
were
not passing?
bullied, so they are taking
Yes,
it out
they are
on
trying
us.
to.
Just narcissism. Like,
Seriously.
you just have a God complex. Because if majority of your students are failing, people are not doing well, you fail as a lecturer now. If not that you are the devil, why are you saying that A is for me and B for God?
Some other lecturers, it's because they've gone through that stage. They did this particular course. They did not do it well during their time. They probably barely passed. And now they are trying to just make it the same way on us too. There was this particular lecturer that said, during my time, I did not understand it, so you will not understand it.
That's why I said they were bullied.
So they are just trying to reflect what happened to them in their past on us.
Can the disagreeers now speak?
First thing to note is that is old school thinking. I'm hoping that the university system will agree. It's the job of lecturers to teach so well that 90% of your class passes. Where I thought you normally have a faculty board that sits all lecturers to review every course. So if students are scoring well in other lecturers' courses and then they are failing your course, please explain to us how come these people that we have all taught are brilliant, but when they come to you, they become dullards. That open system helps to keep everybody on his toes. You just realize that you can't punish that girl because you don't like her, or that boy because he spoke up in class the other day, so you are going to give him a D. It doesn't work. Every institution should adopt that open system. That era when lecturers used to brag that their students failed, that was an indictment on their own capability. It means you are not teaching well. It's still happening, but not as much as it used to be. It's not so rampant anymore. But we need to get to the point where it shouldn't be part of the conversation.
Like in my institution, before the exam, you'll have been given a questionnaire. It's anonymous. You just put the course code, the teaching skill of the lecturer, your observation. We lecturers too are being graded.
Yes.
And once you see that your score does not commiserate your effort, there's what we call rectification. He will bring out his marking scheme and they will bring out your scripts. Another person will regrade. So there's no alpha and omega as a lecturer. I want to have that mindset. I gave an example that for me to specialize in my field, there's a particular course that I need to pass. I see it as a challenge. You are telling me that I cannot pass I will score minimum of 70. So you can't go to the moon to set your question. So I want you students to take it as a challenge. A lecturer is coming to you that you cannot. Who is he? You know, I've had a course that all my students, I think they are about 11, they had hey. I was queried and I answered. They passed. I will speak for myself and some lecturers. We are not out to winch hunt our students. What would be my joy? Because I passed through that situation does not mean I must replicate. I should be better.
Your viewpoint is one that majority of lecturers would share. It can be different from lecturer to lecturer, university to university.
It's different in institutions. What we're advocating is that the majority of institutions should adopt best practice. In my school, before the exam, you send in your questions. The school requests that you send your marking scheme for those questions that you have set. The marking scheme means that you will answer the questions yourself. When the exam has happened, you have scored, they pass those same papers to another lecturer to review. So if there is a wide disparity between your scoring and what others have scored, you really need to explain how that happened. Unfortunately, many institutions are not doing it. I've had institutions where 2 months after the exam, lecturers have not submitted their scores. How? The scores are supposed to come in 2 weeks max so that we can call faculty board, review all the scores, and let the students have their results.
That mindset is an archaic mindset. My university obtained the best practice. Minimum of 2 lecturers will teach a course. That already checkmate the fact that the lecturer hoard grades. Then after the whole examination, there's always what you call a departmental meeting where all the grades are brought before the department and every other faculty member in the department will look at the grades. If the grades are so bad, going by what you have presented, they may ask to revisit it. Then it goes to the faculty board of studies where other departments will take a look at the performances before they can send it to the Senate. So all this rigorous practice will allow the lecturer to know that if there's a high failure in my course, there's going to be a red flag on me. And as a matter of fact, no senior lecturer will glory in math failure. The only bragging right that I dwell on is the fact that if you cheat in my examination, I'll get you. If you have it in my class, I brag about it. You see, when the lecturer fails a student, the lecturer is punishing me or myself. Now, let me explain this to you. A class of 30 students, situation now in Nigeria, we have like maybe 100 students in a class.
They have mentioned 1,000.
Yeah, okay, let's talk about 1,000.
It's horrible.
Now, when 1,000 sit for an examination and you are grading, you know, some of the time, some of these things you have to grade manually. If you fail 200 out of the 1,000, the incoming 1,000 will be 1,200.
Plus 200, yes.
So who is going to suffer it? So lecturers don't have a business of failing students. The problem is students not doing the right thing. That is why when students are complaining that I want my script to be assessed, you give your script, the examination question and marking scheme to an independent grader. Students do usually pass. There are a lot of checkmates in the university now that prevent auditing of grades. That's why the issue of sex for grade is not going to fly because 3 people are teaching a course. If you know this lecturer is harassing you, avoid this thing. Just do your best. The other lecturers do very well there, and you pass.
They are talking about how it's supposed to be. They are going to checkmate it in the department, checkmate.
That is what is being done.
Not
After we face
everywhere.
results, we allow students to come and make complaint. If you have an issue or genuinely, it will be addressed because the lecturer may not be perfect. There will be an omission in your CA. Once you have checked everything, then the result will be uploaded. Once the results are uploaded, we know we have checked all the complaints. There's always a room for like 3 weeks.
Iretomiwa Odunui, a 400 level computer engineering student at Federal University of Technology, Akure. I'm a student researcher, an embedded systems engineer, and an entrepreneur. They were talking about how lecturers do not want to fail you, but I just want everybody to know that some lecturers are intentionally wicked. Behind being a lecturer, you're a person, yes, and as a person, you are wicked. And that's why you are coming to fail students. So some lecturers are generally again, and they were talking about it in ideal senses. They are going to check it in the faculty, check in the department. There's 3 weeks ultimatum, you can write letter. But in reality, this process is not seamless. Sometimes you submit letters and the lecturers just tear it or just skip it or not even attend to it.
You teach in UNILAG, right? So I know that process can be very, very tedious because I passed through that process as well. And it was not seamless at all. There was a course that from last session of first semester was only of like recent that they started resolving the issue from that particular course. Yeah, we wrote letters, we submitted through the course advisor to the HOD before we could even get any form of resolution at all. Weeks had already passed. We had already entered into this new semester that we're in now. And there are times where before you can even get anything done, the results are uploaded to the portal.
In every good plan, there's always a sabotage. Students themselves abuse the writing of letters because the student believes my friend that we sat together is having 56, I'm having 46. We wrote the same thing. The person go ahead and write. Oh, my friend that we did together in the library having A, I'm having B. Is writing. So when you have a plethora of letters, the lecturer is not AI. The lecturer has to look at the letter one by one. This can take time. Like I told you, I said 3 weeks. It is to ensure that no student goes without having justified grades. So, but if you have maybe 50 students and half of the class pass, few people that are making complaint genuinely, maybe you are at 10, it will be treated on time. So these things have some drawbacks. It's a rigorous process, but it is done.
Yes, that issue was valid, and they confirmed that they would resolve it. When we checked the portal, we saw that the results had not been adjusted properly.
Then you could have written a follow-up letter. If you write a follow-up letter, it will be done. I can assure you 100% on a dot.
So you have been talking about letters. We write letters in my school too. There are some lecturers that if you did not have an F, there was a particular course where most of my class, including me, we had D in that particular course. We wrote letters to the lecturer. The lecturer is the HOD of that department. He said, if you are sure of yourself, come, let me bring out your script. Then we went outside to talk that, are we sure of ourselves? Then we were like, yes, we know what we wrote, We went back to the office. The man said, if he brings out this script and you got exactly what the score he gave you, that is going to reduce it, we went outside to talk again. We saw some of our seniors, then we told them what happened. Then this particular seniors told us that in their time too, that was how it was. The seniors told us that if you go back to the man and he brings out your script, that is going to intentionally mark it low. And if he does not mark it low, that according to what some other lecturers do, they will pass you in that course. But the next courses you are going to take, they are not going to take it easy on you. They are going to be wicked with you. Some lecturers are just generally wicked.
When students write letter and you say they attend to only those that have F, I'm not holding brief for any lecturer, but I want to paint a scenario. There's a massive failure. Some students that can forecast, this is the question that's coming out, but the lecturer could probably bring a very simple question and everybody have gone on a high pitch. Coming down becomes problem and there's a massive failure. Have you experienced that kind of situation before?
Sir.
Now, in this situation, the lecturer knows that all these students they have issues, but they are brilliant. They may do an upgrade before the result is released. After doing an upgrade, and knowing fully well that the girl that is complaining of having 45 actually probably failed, but because of the upgrade, she's having 45. Now writing a letter, what do you expect the lecturer to do? Just tell me. Answer the question. No, answer the question.
When somebody, you can invite. You can
So,
invite.
no, there's no room to invite.
There's
There's no room to invite.
If I write a letter saying I got a grade that I did not deserve, probably I did more than the grade you gave me. I'm supposed to get like an A and you gave me a C or a D. I'm supposed to be attended to, whether you upgraded everybody or not. When you attend to me, you recheck my scripts and you see that, you make me see that, oh yes, I did not deserve this score. Then I'm going to be satisfied knowing I fought for my grades and probably I didn't do well. But if you just tell me you upgraded everybody, so you probably didn't even pass before, I'm not going to, I'll not get that satisfaction if I get less than what I assumed I was supposed to get. Probably I was given 50C. Then after checking it, I see that, oh, I was supposed to get 45, not 50. I think I should still be giving the 50 because probably 5 marks was added across board. They added 5 marks to everybody. So me complaining does not mean you should remove that 5 marks from me.
I agree with you that some individual personality can have this mindset of no student can pass my course. I've been a victim of that before, but I've forgiven the lecturer. We are friends now. I think it's about individual personality. It's not because the person is a lecturer. That person can be in another profession. You will still exert that same attitude. That is my own point of view.
It is unfair. I feel like they were not being truthful enough to even acknowledge that it happens. They might have heard about it that some of them are hoarding grades, maybe for self-appraisal or even just a little bit of power, maybe in a small percentage, but it's still happening.
Lecturers should also learn from students.
I have experienced learning from my students. My discipline is practical, mass communication. Changes are happening in the media every day, and younger people catch on to technology faster. The younger ones are described as digital natives. In teaching them, you get feedback about what's new, what's happening here, and all that. Each class that I go to, I carry a notebook for feedback. A lot of that feedback can help you changing the narrative for the next class or your own learning. So yes, I agree totally.
It all just stems from nobody's an island of knowledge, and we learn every day. And even here, I've learned something new that I'm going to take back to school and use it in my education. And I hope you guys too have learned. Sorry for that. I hope you, sirs and ma, have learned something that you can use to relate to us better when you get back to school and be considerate. I'll also share this with my friends too, so we can work on ourselves too.
I'm in the computer engineering department. So we have some people that are already software engineers, 100 level, 200 level. They already started working. They already had remote jobs. So these people, they're already in the field. And some of the lecturers, they probably never worked as software engineers. So now you're seeing professionals in your class. That means now you should be able to learn from those students.
We are all students in this life. For every lecturer, having a student is a privilege. The person you are teaching, you're only teaching that person what you know. You don't know what that person else knows. Learning from students make you versatile. They are still students of many teachers, so they can apply some of these things and teach you. As a lecturer, you should be open.
There was some software that I used to analyze my data when I was an undergraduate, and I left it. But now I had challenges with my student that I couldn't use. They had to look for who is the smartest that know how to use this thing. She came, she taught me how to teach my student again.
Final words to me, I think student-lecturer relationship in the university should be a kind of cooperative, friendly, and should be accommodating, because a student comes to the university to learn and the lecturer is supposed to impart knowledge. University system is a community. You are joining the community, align with the community, see the way community behave. Don't come with an informed mindset. People informing you may be people that they are the guilty ones. Instead will never say I scored 40. Instead will tell you they gave me 40. Now, instead of score 40, go and say, they will never give you 70, they will give you 40. No, giving you that mentality and you programming yourself will never let you learn well.
It should be lecturers and students against the system. In Nigeria, the system is really messed up. Lecturers are underpaid, and I feel like that's what prompts a lot of them to behave abnormally. And also you should try and be a little bit more understanding to students. A lot of us, it may look like we're full-time students. Yeah, and we sign up to be full-time students, but then we are still doing other things on the side and taking care of other responsibilities as well. There should also be that level of understanding. It's lecturers and students, one academia, trying to actually produce problem solvers in the system.
Lecturers are not your enemies. Lecturers don't wish that you fail.
Students should learn to have relationship with their lecturer. They don't hate you, they are parents too.
Students should be open-minded. We should not just assume that, okay, this lecturer is difficult, this course is difficult.
Not all lecturers are the same. And those lecturers that are bad is not because they are lecturers, it's because of who they are.
Love your institution. I went to the university where everywhere we go, we still sing the school anthem. We love our school.
If the lecturer is such that is difficult, with prayers, with dedication, you will surmount all challenges that can come across your way.
I am here courtesy of my former student, which underlines the thing we were discussing, the importance of good lecturer-student relationships.
I would like to tell my colleagues that we are parents in the equation. We should learn to make our students better.
Don't underrate students. Because the student doesn't perform well in class doesn't mean that student does not have a future. Don't speak words that can make students feel intimidated.
I feel like they should stop viewing students as naive or we don't know what we are doing. So they should be kind to us. Like, they should treat us with respect. So like respect is reciprocal, please.
You should try to be more lenient towards that and just generally try and work with us.
Try to become is part of their success story. When they remember your name, let them see something good about you, not that they remember your name and they shake their head.
We have come to the end of today's episode. I hope we've been able to find some level of understanding.
Thank you very much, man.
Learn to have relationship
Thank
with
you.
your lecturer. They don't hate you.
I enjoyed
Well, so,
your contributions. Thank you.